So Mark Jones, head of sales for Perform Media, has a few minutes here to talk to you about what they're up to. Differentiation during disruption. I think you're going to like it because he's a smart guy, succinct, and I like it. So big round of applause for Mark. Mark?
Thanks, John. Let me make sure sound check. Cool. Good to see everyone. I'm so happy to be here in person. I hope everyone's travel went really well. So I've been working in digital advertising for probably 20 years now. I remember my first interview in digital was with weather.com. And I spent hours and hours and hours prepping for it. I wanted to be as professional as I possibly could. But when I went into the interview, I was meeting with the hiring manager, and she kept looking at my resume and looking back up at me over and over again. It started to make me kind of nervous. And I was wondering, what is she going to ask? And the first question that came out of her mouth was, what is it like to be internet savvy? I was shocked. I was absolutely not prepared for this one. So I thought about it for a little bit, and then I realized the very bottom of my resume, you know that additional skills? It's literally the bottom section. There was a bullet. It actually probably is a huge bullet, and it said, internet savvy. I was literally interviewing for a digital job, and I had the word internet savvy as a skill. I took a deep breath, and then I paused for a second, collected myself. I then looked her straight in the eyes, and I said, here's how being internet savvy is going to help me be the best candidate for this role. And I went through kind of my pre-prepared pitch. She actually laughed. It ended up loosening the conversation. We had a great conversation. I'm happy to say I ended up getting the job. I was there for 7 years. But all jokes aside, there's actually a moral to this story, and it's actually the theme of my presentation here. Is for us to be successful, and in some instances survive, we must adapt to rapid changes and unexpected circumstances. And I feel like this is very relevant to today. So I'm going to get to that in just a second, but first let me take a couple of moments to tell you about what we do at Perform Media. So very simple. We are an advertising platform that offers direct access into Media.net's contextual marketplace. We are their exclusive sales team. Media.net is an SSP. They're one of the largest contextual ad techs worldwide. And our technology intelligently combines relevant topical recommendations with search and native advertising. Here's just an example, very briefly, of our search ads. They are text-based. It's different than someone typing in a box. It is contextual-based. So we look at all the contextual elements on the page, very sophisticated. We look at URLs. We look at the title, description. We use human language processing to understand what the content is about, the tone of it for brand safety. We then take these signals and make recommendations within the topics, within the content. Once a user clicks on one of these topics, they are taken to a second page, which is a search results page, where an advertiser has to make a second click, and then they are taken to the advertiser website. It is a 2-click validation of user intent. A couple of notes here, just for clarification. The CPC is charged on the second click, and an advertiser has to be physically bidding on one of the exclusive keywords here to be eligible to serve on the search results page. So it is keyword targeted. And just a couple of notes to put this in context. This is an ad format that's great for mid and lower funnel objectives. And one great use case is it's been used for many, many years to scale search buys. So think in CPG, where there's limited volume. There's not a ton of people maybe searching for toilet paper. This is a great way to scale up your keyword buying in a very effective way. It's high performing. It performs very much like search. We also have native ads. Look and feel like the content on the page, uses the same contextual algorithm. It's keyword and topic-based targeting. And these don't use cookies, so as things shift in a world of privacy, this is a great way to augment your programmatic buying. quick note on our key differentiation. So one is more transparency and controls. We offer a lot more customization. You can build out custom publisher lists, so you can physically cherry pick who you want to work with. We also can target subdomain for more relevance. We also have our own proprietary data. This is a great way to find new audiences, again, to augment any of your other buys. We have over 7 million topics you can target. So in the contextual world, that's more than anybody else. And the advantage, it gives you options, right? A bunch of options. But you don't have to sacrifice scale. We have direct publisher relationships with some of the most high quality publishers in the market. So we work with, just for example, here are some of the direct relationships. WebMD, so health, news and information, lifestyles, et cetera. This is just a few of them. But I want to come back to our original theme. So I think there's a lot of things that are changing in our environment. And just like my interview at the beginning, we have to be able to find ways to adapt to these changes because there's a lot happening. A supply chain disruption is causing scarcity or limitations in your inventory. Also, cost is going up, so there's problems with costs for transportation, costs for manufacturing, along with inflation's causing possibly changes in spending habit because consumer discretionary income is going down. And there's actually not less competition, there's more. And this causes risk to retention and even acquiring new customers in this environment, very, very competitive. One example is we saw a huge lift in advertisers that were buying pet food related queries. So there's more pet food related advertisers. And that happened overnight because people were shopping online more frequently during the pandemic. And if that's not enough, there's problems with brand safety. There's been a proliferation of misinformation, risky content, hard to control there, and that's very, very important you find ways to protect your brand. Now I'll go quickly on these. So I wanted to spend the next couple of minutes just to give some recommendations of how you can adapt to some of these changes. So number one, when cost goes up, you need to get more for every dollar spent. This is just one example, and there are others that can provide this, but this is one example of how we help our customers do that. So we charge no data fee for our targeting. I shared some of the details prior to this. And we ran a case study comparing us to another contextual provider that does charge a fee. And the results were we saw 38% more qualified impressions, so they essentially lowered their cost and increased their performance. Also, this may allow you to unlock some new channels where there's less competition. So let me explain this. Contextual targeting, so we looked in our internal data and 40% of the bid requests were in environments where there was no cookies. And the value of that or benefit is that it's a lot cheaper. It's actually 60% cheaper. So you can take contextual targeting to make sure your ads are relevant and target these more efficient areas. Again, getting more for every dollar spent. There we go. And as things change really rapidly, you want ways to segment audiences on the fly. So what we've done is we've actually built a planning tool, as I mentioned, has over 7 million topics. You can customize targeting. It allows you to be more nimble as things change rapidly. And this allows you to do contingency plan A, B, C, et cetera. And there's so much more competitive clutter, as I mentioned with the pet food example, I recommend making an emotional connection through special moments, like weddings, like first-time parents with baby care maybe. Here are a whole list of moments or PMPs you can target within our marketplace. And as the competition heats up, it's really important that you focus on advertiser retention. Here's one way I think you can do it. Actually, I want to make 2 recommendations. The first one is address important customer concerns. This is just an example of one of our CPG advertisers. They wanted to address a concern of their customers for deodorant and harmful materials in those deodorants. And they offered up a solution, a natural deodorant. Also, you need to find ways to own your customer relationships. And one way we do that is we allow you to import your first-party data so you can actually target your customers within our platform, along with layering on our contextual data. And what this allows you to do is target high-value customers, your customers, within high-value contexts, hopefully having a multiplier effect in brand lift and any other performance metric that you have. And finally, talked about misinformation. Let me tie it all together. So I think contextual is one of the best ways to protect your brand because we know everything on the page. I talked a little bit about how sophisticated we are, but we know exactly what's on that particular page. And we are able to understand what helps and hinders your brand. One example is we understand the tone or the sentiment of the article, and we can either target it or block it. And if that's not enough, we have integrations with third-party partners to help protect your brand. We just announced a major integration with NewsGuard as an extra layer of support. So that's pretty much all I have. I hope I helped everyone be a little bit more internet savvy today. If you have any questions on Perform Media, please come see me. Thank you very much.